All right, you all, it's that time, exactly 3:45. So I want to say good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to EdTech Tuesdays with A-Tims and friends. Today's topic, charting the next frontier, how school AI empowers teachers with student-facing AI. My name is Pernell Allen. I'm the Alabama Technology and Motion Specialist located at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, UAB. Go Blazers. That's my contact information right there. Both emails I do respond to. If you're on X, Twitter, Twix, I am at UAB_ATIM. If you like this session or any session put on by ATIM, use hashtag ATIMPD on all social media platforms. Those other universities to the left are where other ATIM specialists and the regional in-service centers are located across the state. Region 5 serves the following LEAs. That includes Alabama Aerospace and Aviation, Bessemer, Birmingham, Empower Community, Freedom Prep, Fairfield, I3 Academy, Independence Prep, Jefferson County, Leeds, Legacy Prep, Magic City Acceptance Academy, Midfield, Tarrant, and Trustfield City Schools. Here we are today, once again, with charting the next frontier. Today's session, and we have 3 sessions remaining for this school year. If you have not signed up, please do so and join us for those as well. If you haven't had the opportunity to listen to Tim Talks, that's our monthly podcast hosted by my colleague Angela Clark and myself, where we'll go around and try to highlight all of the state initiatives that you may not know about so that they can bring those learning tools into your school all for free. You can check Tim Talks out. Our latest 2 episodes was episode 20 and 21. 20 was done by all the 8 across the state, and 21 was done by Dr. Foster, who is the OMI director for Region 5. You can listen to Tim Talks on Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, and Apple as well. Also, please consider joining us for ATC this year. This is the theme for this year is Learning Without Limits. This is our Alabama Educational Technology Conference hosted in Huntsville, June 15th through the 19th. We'll be talking about everything from digital literacy to computer science to all type of tech integration. So please feel free to join us this year. And then without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the person who is representing SchoolAI today, and that's Michelle Provenzano. Did I get it right?
Pernell, yes. Guys, the meeting's over. He said my last name. I am now called Parmesan. I was telling Pernell earlier today that when I was younger, I used to get bullied so bad with my last name. So I appreciate that, Pernell. Thank you so much. I am going to share my screen, but I want to apologize in advance that you had to see all those tabs for a second. My colleagues always give me a hard time. But believe it or not, I could keep track of everything that I need to.
Awesome.
So I am really excited to show you SchoolAI. I'm just curious, before we jump in, do we have a lot of folks that are using SchoolAI right now or have? And if you haven't, that's okay. I was just curious because there's some new stuff that I'm about to show that I'm really excited about. So, okay. That's okay. And then one last check, Pernell. I just want to make sure you're seeing my Discover page. Awesome. Okay. So just like you mentioned, my name is Michelle Lynn Provenzano. I actually support all the districts in the state of Alabama, as well as Georgia and Florida. Just a little bit of information about SchoolAI. We are based in Lehi, Utah, which is about 20 minutes from Salt Lake City. 90% of the folks that are at SchoolAI were former educators. So teachers, principals, instructional coaches, curriculum directors, you name it. So the platform was built with teachers and students in mind and how we could help you not only on your day-to-day task, but how do we help you engage students and meet them where they're at in real time and be able to personalize and adapt what we call spaces to fit those students' needs. So I am going to jump right in so I can show you around. So the screen that you're looking at is our new Discover page. And this is awesome because for those who have maybe seen our platform before, it wasn't as intuitive as this Discover page. And what I mean by that is, as a user, whether I'm a teacher or an administrator, my Discover page is actually going to be curated based on my needs. So things that I'm actually using every single day. So what you'll see here are anything that we called spaces or any of our learning spaces and content that I jump into, you're going to see that under recently viewed. My everyday spaces, I'll go into this in just a second, but anything that I'm accessing every single day is going to show up right here for me. Any of my essential tools. So part of our platform, one side of it is actually productivity tools. So how do we save you time? And the other side is what we call spaces, which could be any subject, topic, any kind of lesson. You could create spaces from scratch, and that's all going to show up here. So any of those essential tools that I use for maybe planning, instructional materials, assessments, maybe it's a multiple choice quiz generator or a performance task. Maybe I'd like to build my own tool. That's all going to show up down here, and we're going to jump into those. I just wanted to show you a lay of the land of what this Discover page is representing. It's also going to be customized and organized by subject areas. So if I'm an English teacher, maybe my subjects are going to show up here, or if I teach science, it's going to be here. All that is going to be customizable. And then I'm able to actually look at seasonal spaces and then spaces by grade level. So our platform supports grades K through 12 and even higher ed. So if you haven't seen the higher ed portion of it, I can introduce you to the person that handles that. But let's jump right in. So if I'm a teacher or administrator and I'm about to use SchoolAI for the first time, there's a few areas that I would actually jump into. On the left-hand side is my new navigation. So I'm going to go right into what we call assistants. And these are our thought partners, friends, colleagues across the hall. Think of an assistant as truly an assistant. And I'm going to go over some of the ones that I love the most. The really neat thing about our platform, and it's a huge differentiator, is that it already has frameworks built inside. So when you're building content within an assistant or a tool or in a space, keep in mind that Marzano framework, Danielson framework, Keegan, all those frameworks are already there. So as a teacher, you don't have to worry about it following a certain format. You're going to be able to dictate that, but all of that is in there so that it's easy for you to create the content that you want. I say that also because none of the large language models that we use, we run off the 5 major ones, and we also have proprietary LMs that acts as a tattletale. I say that because any content that you create is encrypted going in and out. And that's usually a big concern for a district or a school. Is our stuff safe? Are they using it for training purposes? Absolutely not. So when you go into what we call an assistant and you create content, you don't have to worry about that being used in any kind of nefarious way. So one of my favorite ones is co-teacher. And a co-teacher could do everything and anything for me. So think of, I know it's a bad word, but think of like a chat GPT in an education safe environment that could do everything that you need it to do. For example, I could go into co-teacher and upload maybe assessments or data sets, data, and say, okay, can you analyze this data and show me what students are falling behind? I could do that and create that kind of report with co-teacher. I could also say, help me create an email about attendance. And co-teacher is going to be able to do that. I'm going to be able to copy that email and send it off. I could do daily planning assistant. I already have some already created. It's going to be able to do that for me. So whatever I need it to do, it's going to be able to create that right here from the screen. And then I could decide if I want to send it out to somebody. Maybe I want to edit it or have some other eyes or collaborate with folks on whatever content that I'm creating. This little cog on all the assistants is probably the most important thing that I could show you, because every time, if I'm a teacher and I'm adding any kind of content in this assistant or anywhere in our platform, it's learning your style. So if I tell a lot of funny dad jokes and my students love me for that, then it's going to pick up that tone. And that's important because we don't want the content to sound like a robot. We want it to sound like you. This doesn't work without you and your personal touch on here. So keep that in mind when you're creating any kind of content, whether it's co-teacher or any one of our other assistants. Another assistant that I like to show off is our curriculum course too. If you have any kind of curriculum or you want to customize courses, you could absolutely do that. And then you notice down here, there are certain notifications or content and brainstorming ideas that it's giving me because it's picking up on what I've already worked on. So, for example, it might ask me, hey, do you want to make your course more exciting? Well, yeah, I do. And I could do that. And I could upload my supporting docs in here and it's going to create that for me. I could also click on this and it's going to ask me, okay, what exactly do you want to do with your course? We do that and it's asking those questions because we found that sometimes we don't know where to start. We're overwhelmed and we have a lot of content to create. So it helps that it actually knows what I'm looking for, but also leads me with some questions on how I could actually create some of that content. Another assistant that I like, and you notice they all look and feel the same way, that's intentional. We don't want it to be hard to learn this platform. But one that I really, really like, and ignore this pop-up because it's for the free version, so you're not limited. But I could attach a rubric on here and ask my writing assistant, essay grading assistant, to grade bulk upload 100 different essays and grade it based on that rubric. And what we find with the feedback from teachers is that it comes within 0.5% of what that teacher was going to grade that student with. Now, again, this doesn't work without you. You're the captain, we're the crew. These are just tools to help you. So assistants, again, think of them as a thought partner, a friend, a colleague that I could bounce some ideas off of. And those are just some of the ones that I really, really love. We also have digital literacy coaches, research assistant, project-based activity expert, field trip coordinator that you go in and use at any time. The other area that I would actually focus on too is tools. So think of a tool as any kind of document that a teacher or administrator has to create. Now, I get asked all the time, why is it that you maybe only have 20 showing here? Well, feedback is that too many choices could be a little overwhelming. So these aren't the only ones that we have access to. These are just the ones that teachers are using the most. So lesson plans, IEP goals, time-based activities, course outlines. These are just the ones that we've been noticing that are being accessed a lot, but you could build your own tool. So if there's a document creator or something that you need, you could absolutely build it right here and you're not limited on that. But just to jump in and show what it actually looks like, again, they all look and feel the same exact way. So if I selected my grade, I could do that. And I could say, let's focus on the water cycle. For the sake of time, I'm not building I'm putting a ton of information in here, but I could say focus on evaporation. And if I wanted to, I can align this to any of the state standards. So before any district or school jumps on board with us, we make sure that those standards are in there and aligned and are present so that you can create the document that you want to. And then I can also pull in my own custom proprietary. Maybe I have curriculum or certain documents that I want aligned into this lesson plan, then I could do that. Once I hit generate, it's going to do that right here from the screen. So the nice thing is that for the sake of time, let's say I'm looking at this and I missed a mark. I don't really like what it is and how it created that for me. I don't have to go here and delete this and recreate the document. I could just simply highlight the areas that I'm not happy with. I could come right here to this tool. I could make it shorter. I could make it longer. I could translate it. I can even go into the prompt and add even more information and hit regenerate, and it's going to be able to do that for me. And then right from here, I can export and send it either to Google Classroom, a Google form, a PDF, Microsoft, whatever it is that I want to export that to. But the idea is it's going to create that information for me quickly. And then if I ever have to find it, it's going to show up right here under wherever I actually created that content with. Oh, just checking to see if there's any questions. So those are assistant and tools. Those are just some of our productivity tools that we offer. Now I want to show you Dot. So within assistants, we have our new experience. And Dot, it could do everything and anything for you, just like Co-Teacher, but even then some. So the nice thing is that remember those intuitive little push notifications I had shown you earlier? Well, Dot's whole purpose is to learn everything about you and help you think of really cool, creative ways to engage students or even save time. So, for example, I could speak into Dot and say, Dot, help me create a lesson plan about rain. And Dot's going to be able to do that. I could say, align it to fourth grade X standard, and Dot's going to be able to do that. Or I could type in, Dot, help me create a lesson plan about rain. Some of the other things that we could do is that it will take that prompt and take it even further. So maybe I wanted to create a differentiated quiz worksheet. It will absolutely be able to do that based on things that I've already created. And right here from the screen, I'm going to have my AI guide Dot being able to help me create that right here from this screen. And then I could decide, should I share this with a colleague? Can I collaborate with one of my coworkers? Can I bring in some other ideas or other folks to see this? And then I can mark this up, export it, do whatever it is that I need to do to be happy with whatever the content was. Maybe I need to send this to my LMS, but I can. So you have your AI guide assistant Dot on the left-hand side and that interactive screen or a document that I created right here. And from right here, I could keep getting even more and more granular. I can add what we call a power up. So I'm going to show you this in a second, but a power up could be anything. A power up could be a presentation creator. Maybe I need to make Google Slides out of a lesson plan. It could be Planet Explorer. So I could go in and maybe create a lesson and have an interactive screen of finding a planet. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So Dot could do anything and everything. And now, with some of our enhancements, and this will make sense in a second, you could add what we call power ups into some of our spaces. So, right now, what I'm going to do is actually jump into what really separates us from some of the AI platforms that are out there. So, the productivity tools are wonderful, they absolutely save teachers time, but that's not really where we started. We started with the students in mind. How do we get teachers to be able to engage them and stay on task and master the objective that at hand? So, some of my favorite spaces, a space, like I said earlier, could be any subject, could be any topic, could be any course. We have over 155,000 different spaces in our platform that you could access at any time, from grades K through 12 all the way up to higher ed. Some of my favorite ones are speaking to historical figures. So there's a few different ways that you could use a space. The first one, and this is probably my favorite one, is being able to go in there and add your own spin on it. So maybe I want to create a space from scratch, but I'm a little intimidated by AI and prompting because I've never done it before. And to be honest, before I got to SchoolAI, I never even used a chat GPT. I was terrified of it because I didn't know what to do. But this is probably the coolest feature of SchoolAI, especially for teachers who might need a little nudge or a little different way of thinking how to create a space, especially if you had no kind of experience with AI in the past. So let's just say I wanted to, I don't know, come up with a quick space about atoms, right? I could label that atoms, and I'm just going to put in a very basic prompt. Describe why atoms are important, and explain it like Travis Kelce. Because I'm a teacher and I know who my students love. So I could create a space. I want them to learn about it. I know they love Travis Kelce. So I'm just going to put that. I could take it deeper and I can align it to maybe a state standard if I want to, or any kind of custom docs. But let's just say I just did that. And for my student description, I'm going to say, this is a ninth grade class that read at a fifth grade level. I could say speak in Spanish first, then English, Russian first. I could adapt this for students who are visually or hearing impaired. So I could now start my preview because I tell everybody, don't launch space without testing it and making sure it's behaving the way that you want it to. So if you all would like to play around with me for a second, we could jump into this space, but I want to show you one more thing. If I did nothing else, let's say I didn't even add anything of this description up here, right? And I just said generate all fields. Look what happens to this space if I'm a teacher who doesn't know what to do. It actually just gave me a really cool idea. Introduce your students to the building blocks that matter, atoms, through a fun and relatable approach. This space uses the energy and personality of Travis Kelsey to make learning about atoms both engaging and memorable. I'm not going to read all of that to you, but if I wanted to actually launch this and have you jump in, I could hit save and launch. And keep in mind, this is going to be completely integrated with your internal systems. So one thing to keep in mind is students aren't accessing SchoolAI. They're accessing the space as the teacher that you launched through your internal system. So if you're Google Classroom, if you're Schoology, Canvas, that's how they're accessing the space. For this demo purpose, all you're going to do is scan this barcode. And if you would like to jump into this space, go for it. Again, keep in mind, I didn't really prompt it, but try to get fresh, try to go off topic, see if how it responds to you. And what you'll notice is it brings you back to the topic at hand. The space is infinitely patient. So if a student says something silly and tries to go off topic, it's going to bring them right back into that. The other thing is that this is meant for critical thinking. It will never give a student an answer. So if it's a space about writing, math, whatever the case may be, it's never going to give the answer. It's going to show them where maybe they need to look into further, or what steps maybe they needed to get to that answer, but it's not going to provide it to them. So they can't use this for cheating. I'm just going to leave this up for another minute, because what you're experiencing right now is what a student would see. And then I'm going to jump in too. So I'm going to jump in too so I can show you a few things. Now it's asking for my name, but it's not going to you're not going to have to do that as a student. It's going to go right into the space that teacher launched. It won't let me join my own session, y'all. For now, I need you to do me a favor as my student. I need you to be a little bit fresh. And if it's okay, I want you to write something that would definitely send you to a principal's office. Like, I don't know,
Got it.
maybe you have a knife in class, or I'm just putting you on the spot here.
I got you.
Won't let me join. So what I'm seeing right now, like if a student said, hey, this is dumb, I want to play Minecraft instead, you'll notice that the space is going to redirect them back on the task, but relate it to Minecraft. If Tom Brady, which I have a feeling that's pronounced, if Tom Brady and his alias is talking about possibly having a knife in class, I quickly, as a teacher, am getting alerted with our safety our guardrails. This is something that we've always started with, because if the platform is not safe for the students to use, there's no point in giving it to the teacher. So as a teacher now, I know that Drew and Tom have said something that's a little concerning. From this moment, I can add a collaborator, a principal, a social worker, guidance counselor, anyone who needs to see what was just said. All that content is downloaded and recorded, and you can always access it when you need to. But keep in mind, anything that the student is filling out, it's all encrypted. So nothing is being used for training purposes. So now I could go in, I could go into my alerts and I could send these students messages. Hey, let's chat after class. It's teacher to student, not student to student. So students can't speak to each other. What it's also allowing me to see is exactly what is being said in that chat. So I have headlines up here, which would actually give me insights on how Tom was actually communicating within that space. What is it that they're struggling with? So I could say, let's chat after class, right? And then that's going to go directly to them right there. No other student could see that. But the cool thing is that right here in groups, it's allowing me to see how my students are actually doing. So if students are actually have a ton of data and then they're actually communicating with the bot, I'm able to go in and see, okay, what is it that they're struggling with? So what I could do, because I have a lot of history on one of these sessions, and just for demo purposes, I could jump into my old Amelia Earhart space because I want to show you. I could go into any of the sessions that I launched and see exactly what the students are struggling with. So I'm getting real-time insights, but it's also grouping my students based on how they're mastering that objective. So maybe my students started as a D, but by the end of my session, they're up here in A. So I could do a few different things. For my students who might be struggling, I could come into what we call our session guidance. I can now relaunch the space based on those insights on what those students are struggling with, copy it, and now relaunch it to that individual student and personalize it based on the things that they need help with. So if it's a Lexile issue, if it's a visual issue, whatever the case may be, my peers aren't going to know that I actually just received a new space that's personalized and differentiated for me specifically. That's spaces, that's jumping in. This is my mission control as a teacher. Now, some other cool things that we have within spaces with some of the new enhancements are being able to set what we call agendas. So now with some of our new spaces, one is my favorite is whether a hot dog, a sandwich is as a sandwich or not debate. We haven't gotten a confirmed answer, but this is one of our 2.0 spaces. But one of the neat things and differentiators now within a space is that a teacher can now set an agenda. So within that space, I can see, okay, how long is this space for? How long is it going to take me? Who is it for? And how is it laid out? So now you have the ability to say, okay, I only want to do a 10-minute space, and we're learning about this author, and I just want to do a 10-minute review session on some of the key things that this author did. And you could create a space specifically for that. It's really awesome. And it's also still going to guide that student and give those same insights to that teacher, but even more information. Other spaces that we have that I'd like to show are our sidekick. So you remember that space that we were just in? If a student's really struggling, we could do what we call a sidekick tutor for that student. So as a teacher, I could take the insights that I just received from my mission control and maybe those students who are struggling, and I could assign them each a tutor for whatever that topic or subject is that will follow them the rest of the school year. That almost is cloning me as a teacher into that sidekick. So it's just another way to help engage that student. And then the cool thing is that I would still get those same insights that I would in mission control within Sidekick as well. So the insights that we get from within our sessions are amazing because it's allowing me to meet the needs of all my students in real time. And it's not that I wasn't doing that when I was a teacher, but I didn't have the technology to be able to tap them all on the shoulder and customize it right there in that classroom. Another cool thing that I'd love to show you is our Chrome extension. And I'm really excited to show this to you guys because this is one of the first, you're actually the first folks to see this in the state of Alabama. So in Florida, I am based in Florida. We had that cold snap. You guys are used to the winter, but we're not used to that down here. And so part of that, we have these invasive iguanas that fall out of trees when it gets a little too cold. So I thought it would be appropriate to show you my Chrome extension with this. So part of our Chrome extension, let's imagine something historical happened and you go to a website and you're like, gosh, I would love to make a space about that topic. Well, with our Chrome extension, you could do just that. I could come right into this site of Florida Fish and Wildlife, and I could come in here and create a space just from here. I could select the grade level and I could say, okay, let's create a space about green iguanas. And the platform's going to do that for me. I could come right here and create a resource directly from here. Maybe I want to create a lesson plan from this site. You don't have to worry about scanning it if it's safe because our proprietary LM is doing that for you. So it's not going to allow you to get on a site that's not education safe and pull content in here. That's not happening. So I could do things like lesson plans, worksheets. So I could say, okay, create a lesson plan for fourth grade students. Now I could get as granular as I need to. These are ELL students. And if I did that, it might ask me some questions because it wants to make sure it's creating the correct content. But go back to that teacher that might be a little apprehensive of AI. Now you have Dot, that assistant that follows you around everywhere, asking and making sure that it's creating exactly what you're looking for. So just from prompting it like that, it just created that lesson plan for me. And from right here, I could export that into a Google Doc, Word doc, a PDF. I could get even more granular if I want to, and I could add even more resources. But the one that I really, really love, and I really want to spend some time on, is our essay and writing feedback. So now with our extension, as a teacher, I'm going to be able to analyze writing with summary, inline commenting, and revision history. Now, it's not foolproof for plagiarism, but if I wanted to come in here and say, okay, use this rubric, so I'm going to attach a rubric on here. If I say use this rubric, and please grade these essays based on this or give feedback on this, it's going to do that. So please use this rubric for feedback. And then I could also align it to state standards if I want to. It's going to work on that for me. And then what you're going to see, it's actually going to create that, and it's going to allow me to add that on the document so I could give writing feedback for my students, either bulk or a single. So once it adds that for me, I'm going to add that to my document by just clicking a quick button. And now as a teacher, I could go in there and give any kind of feedback right here on the doc. I could look how it actually scored it. The student could access this. They could get that feedback as well. I can also come here and say, okay, maybe I want to add some inline commenting. I could add that on that doc for me. And then I can also go and get revision history. So I have it set pretty fast there. But look how neat this is. As a teacher, I can watch how Michelle actually just created this essay. How many pastes? How long did it take her? How many times did she edit? And how many authors? Did someone else write this paper for her? It gives you enough information that you could determine as a teacher, like, okay, this is authentic. She actually did work on this. Or you know what? No, this is a little suspect right here. How did she get that big paragraph copied and pasted? So it's not 100% foolproof, but it definitely gives you enough information so that if you had to go back and look, okay, did they really write this paper? I could go there and confidently answer that. This might be the fastest I've showed spaces, our assistants, and tools. Two more things that I'd love to show you is organize. So anything that I create as a teacher or administrator, I could create a collection. So think of your curriculum team or instructional coaches. I could go in and already create spaces for every grade level and push it down if I want to, and then allow teachers to remix it or create from scratch and put their touch on it. I could create a collection and invite folks to collaborate with me about a space. So maybe it's all my ELA teachers. We want to collaborate on how we could use spaces for our students or my SPED teachers. I can also organize it by file type and document. And then the last thing that I'd love to show you is community. So any district or school that uses our platform, our professional development is free. So we offer free online training as well as in person, but all teachers and admins have access to these resources. So we already have courses that are already in here for AI literacy, AI readiness training. We have events that you could jump into, certification courses. These are updated all the time. We have one-on-one office hours that teachers could jump in and ask our instructional coaches questions. And then you're also linked up with other educators across the country, and you could look at different resources, have different discussions on how they're using it with their students. This is all part of our platform. We're really excited. We have a lot of cool new features that are starting to roll out. So I just skimmed the surface with it, but that is School AI.
Awesome. I do like the fact that I remember using it when Dot was like in the front and center. I don't remember seeing this as much, so I'm glad that you shared those new features and everything in the new desktop look.
Awesome. Well, thank you for letting me share it. The one last thing, and I didn't want to show this to you guys because it wouldn't have made sense. But when you're creating a space, now you had that little screen where that student was interacting with that student. Now, with our enhancements, we have things called power ups. And a power up could be a data analyzer, a document creator, a presentation creator for slideshows. What I love is the Planet Explorer because in the past life, I was a science teacher. But now within your spaces, you have the ability to create these engagement tools. So it's not just a bot or a screen that student is interacting with. Dot is guiding them through whatever that is that they're trying to see. So for this example, let's say it was finding the sun. I could do that now, and that teacher can now watch me find the sun, right? And how I'm interacting with that space. Or what about computer science teachers? Maybe students are learning Python and to code. So I could code a video game and it'll come alive right here. So we have things like simulators for science experiments and things like that, where they can actually work it out right here on the screen. And I will leave you with that. That is absolutely the last thing I wanted to show you, but I couldn't lead with that because I had to show you the original spaces before you got to the exciting stuff.
And then speaking of the original spaces, is speaking to a historical figure still available on those?
Absolutely. Oh
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Now I didn't
Nice.
want to do Amelia Earhart because that's what I always do, and I'm a geek when it comes to her, and I wasn't sure how many folks had already seen that, so I didn't want to bore y'all.
No.
So I shied away from it, but you could create a historical figure. You could actually customize it however you want. You could remix them. But yeah, it's probably one of my favorite spaces is the historical figures. I was just trying not to be biased.
Well, no problem. And so when it comes to school AI, just to anyone else ask any questions, is there a library for things that are already created by other teachers that they can access just to take a look at those tools?
Absolutely. And then if anyone's interested too, I could give you access to a pro account so that you could jump in and actually view the spaces that those teachers have already created. Yep. So there's ones that are like really popular ones are our writing feedback space where you could adapt the space on whatever writing feedback you'd like those students to have. The math ones are really great now because we did a lot of work with Anthropic and Claude. So that's something that we really spent a lot of time just making sure that it was giving the right feedback because that's often hard with large language models. So we spent a lot of time making sure we got that right. There's a lot of learning activity spaces that you could go in and take a look at. Quiz and reteach is another a popular one where you can see how students are doing as far as mastering. So yeah, there's a ton of tools that teachers can go in there. My email's very easy. It's michelle@schoolai.com. If you have questions, I could absolutely give you a pro account and you can use it as long as you like.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course.
Well,
And
I will pull back on my questions and you all are able to unmute yourself if you would like, if you have any questions for Michelle.
and I know it was a lot,
Hello,
but go ahead.
hello, Michelle.
Hi,
Can you guys hear me?
we can.
Okay. I like your presentation. I guess, an extreme novice when it comes to the AI kind of stuff, AI stuff. But I like how you were able to create the spaces and you can put the different information in there for your grade level. And I was just trying to think, how could I work it? Because I teach first grade. How could I work this in the first grade?
Oh my goodness. So our elementary students are probably our biggest users. So there's a lot of different examples with first grade students. We do a lot of adventure spaces. So you could gamify it, maybe make it about vocabulary. whatever the topic at hand is. But for our littles, we also have features where it's a speech to text or text to speech. So a lot of them maybe not that great at typing. So they could communicate into the space and engage the space by just speaking into it, and it'll adapt to them as well. Cassandra, if you want, what I could do is actually send you a whole library of how different educators are using this for elementary specifically. But within Discover, you can also search by different grade levels as well. And then it's going to customize my entire screen on examples of spaces that other educators like yourself have created for those students, which
Oh,
is
that'll
nice.
be
So,
great.
ye-
Good. Yeah.
absolutely. Now, is there a way I could get information to be able to forward that over to her?
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Of course, absolutely. And if you ever want to dive deeper, I could definitely walk you through that as well.
Oh, great. Definitely. I really appreciate it. Do I need to put my school email in there or?
If
That'll
you
work.
if you do, that would be great. And then I could actually send you access to a pro account, but I'll send you another email and maybe you and I could connect and I could walk you through what that looks like.
Okay, great. Well, I will do that. Thanks again, Michelle.
You're very welcome. And thanks for joining. And I just want to make sure I got every other question in here. I know it's a lot to take in. We have a lot of cool tools in here. So if you think of questions, just let me know. You can always contact me. I'll share my contact information for now, and that's my cell phone on there. So you can always call, text, and email me, just not at 2 o'clock in the morning.